Okay, can I have all aldermen back, please? Aldermen, I need everyone seated. Okay, we're going to start the roll call. Go ahead. It's 7 p.m., so we're going to start roll call.
Alderman Bolton.
Present.
Guzman.
Present.
Martinez.
Present.
Felix. Newsome.
Present.
Turner.
Present.
Donnerworth.
Present.
Florian.
Present.
Hayes. Mayor Taylor.
Present.
You have a quorum, ma'am.
Thank you very much. Tonight we're going to have our invocation by Pastor Jarrell, and I know I'm going to mess it up. I've said it a million times. Balaja, is that it? I'll have you come up and then I'll have you correct it because I know, I love the name. It's a beautiful French name, but please can you come up and give our invocation this evening?
Let us pray. Gracious God, we give thanks for this day and the opportunity to gather together as a community. We thank you for Mayor Taylor and the individuals who serve on this council, for their willingness to lead and to make decisions that impact the lives of so many. We ask you for your guidance and wisdom to be upon them as they conduct the business of this city this evening. God, grant them clarity of mind as they consider the issues before them. May they be guided by principles of fairness, justice, and compassion, always seeking the best for the people of Waukegan. Help them to work together in unity and respect, even when there are different opinions, so that the common good may prevail. Father, we pray for the residents of Waukegan, that they may experience peace, prosperity, and a strong sense of community. Bless those who work tirelessly to serve this city, including the city staff, first responders, and all who contribute to its well-being. We ask for your blessing upon this city, that it may be a place where all can thrive. May we be mindful of your presence in all that we do. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Before we rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, can I have a first and a second to seat Alderman Felix?
First.
Second?
Second.
Okay. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the February 3rd City Council meeting. We are now in the month of February, which means we are in the month of love. Valentine's Day is coming up, and lots of historic things going on. But I want to start off tonight with a little bit of sad news, and some of you may have heard it, some of you may not have. One of our well-known residents, architect and artist Joe Leggett, passed away on Sunday, February 2nd, surrounded by his family at the age of 88. He was the founder of Leggett Architects, and he and his firm were responsible for the design of many municipal buildings, in government buildings here in Waukegan and throughout the nation. 37 years ago, Joe designed the Baxter Laboratory plant in Japan, which helped serve as the catalyst for our sister city relationship, which in October, he was not able to make that trip, but his wife did go with David and a couple of other people and went to visit our sister city. In addition to these accomplishments, Joe was presented the Waukegan Township's 2013 Man of Distinction Award. He served as the president of the Waukegan City Club, Waukegan Lions Club, and Glen Flora Country Club. And he was a member of the Waukegan Renaissance Commission, the Waukegan Downtown Association, and the Genesee Theater Restoration Project. He's also a past board member of the Waukegan Port Authority. Joe enjoyed contributing his time and expertise to public service and enlightenment programs in Waukegan, along with world travel, creating an art collection, and collecting antique hunting gear. If anybody's ever been to his home, you've seen all of that. As we get more information on his funeral arrangements, we will pass that on. As a personal friend of Joe's, the news was very difficult, but please say a prayer for his family. Keep his wife and his children in your hearts. Again, he was a well-known resident here in Waukegan, and this has been a little devastating for, I think, all of us up here who know him, and I just wanted to let the public know about it. Tonight, we're going to start off with remarks from our fire chief, Greg Pazer.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Mayor Taylor and council members, for allowing me to speak for a minute about the Waukegan Fire Department. In the month of January, the Waukegan Fire Department responded to 956 calls for service. Of these calls, 71% were medical calls. Of the medical calls last month, we had 18 cardiac arrests, we had 8 drug overdoses, we gave 8 rounds of Narcan, and we used our Lucas device 7 times. We had 443 transports to Vista Hospital and 11 to Condell. We had 5 structure fires with a total damage amount of $541,350. Along with investigating these fires, our Fire Prevention Bureau did 384 inspections for the month and 5 occupancy inspections. Our members had a total of 6,090 training hours for the month of January. Now I'm going to give you some statistics about the Waukegan Fire Department in the year 2024. We ran a total of 12,679 calls for service this year. As I stated last month, this was another record year for calls. We are always the busiest fire department in Lake County, and this was no different. The next closest was Gurnee Fire Department. That was 4,500 less calls than we were. Of the 12,679 calls for service, 9,000 of them were EMS calls, which was about 71.5%. Of these calls, we had 119 cardiac arrests, 7 pediatric arrests, and 12 traumatic arrests. We used our Lucas device 113 times and gave 170 doses of Narcan. We transported to Vista 6,382 times and Condell Hospital 235 times. We responded to 7 different nursing homes and behavioral centers, a total of 894 times, which is a pretty staggering number, how much they're using us. We had a total of 42 major structure fires with damage and loss totaling over $15 million last year. We also responded to 1,160 false alarms. August was our busiest month with 1,196 calls, and as expected, being the shortest month of the year, February was our slowest with 895 calls for service. Station 1 is still our busiest station, with Station 3 being right behind them. Our Fire Prevention Bureau did a total of 4,045 inspections for the year, 223 plan reviews, 155 sprinkler system inspections, and 119 occupancy load updates, along with investigating the 42 structure fires that we talked about. Our members did a total of 72,232 hours of training last year, which again is the most ever. And last, to end on a positive note, because I know I've given you a lot of bad information, we trained 377 people in CPR in 2024, which is fantastic. Thank you to members of the council for your continued support.
Thank you, Chief Pazer. Next will be Tom Perfect, our Director of Dispatch. We do these so the community understands what our calls are, how often our calls are received. So the first Monday of the month, we do our fire, dispatch, and public works, and the second one we do police, animal control, so that everybody and building department, so that everybody understands what's going on in our community. I'm sorry, Director
You're fine.
Perfect.
Good evening, council. Good evening, Mayor. Just want to give you guys a update on our call volume. Like Chief Pazer said, they had 956 fire calls. The police department had 4,268 calls dispatched. The dispatch center took a total of 10,998 phone calls for the month, and we are still averaging about 179,000 per year, about 491 calls daily, and about 24 calls an hour. This month is lower than last year's January by about 300 calls. And that's all I got for you.
Okay, thank you. Chris Garland, our Director of Public Works.
Good evening, Council. Thank you, Mayor. I have two things tonight that I want to share with you guys. First thing is water main breaks. As you all know, we've been having many water main breaks throughout the city. One of the causes for water main breaks is temperature changes. So we go through what they call a freeze and the thaw cycle. And that causes the ground to shift, and then, with the pressure of the pipes, it will cause the pipes to burst. So over the last 2 weeks, our crews have had a total estimate of 15 water main breaks throughout the city. They have been working around the clock to keep up with the repairs. So if you see a patch in the roadway, it could be from a water main break at that location. Please be mindful that this is a temporary patch. If it has settled due to the shifting of the foundation of the ground, please call Public Works at 847-360-0944, and we will take care of it. Second thing is our waste. LRS has brought to our attention that many residents are using the recycle bins as extra trash cans. Again, instead of using it as recycling, they're using it as garbage cans. Many of you guys, we have sent out the pictures and to show you in the different wards, because it's throughout the whole city. It ain't just one particular ward, it's throughout the whole city. So we need you guys' helps again to notify your constituents that the smaller one is for recycling, the bigger one is for garbage. All right, in addition to that, as a reminder, cameras are equipped on each truck providing photos of the addresses in question. The cans will not be emptied, and LRS is tagging and tracking the addresses. The recycled cans will need to have all trash removed and must wait until the next week's pickup day to be empty. Courtesy pickups will not be provided. If needed, residents may schedule an extra pickup for an additional fee for the trash and/or recycle by contacting LRS customer service directly if waiting until the next week is not an option. Residents may also contact LRS to arrange and pay for additional cans. More information regarding recycle guidelines is provided through the City of Waukegan website and through the City of Waukegan social media pages. Let's continue to be mindful to what we are putting into the cans to ensure LRS can do their best job possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Garland. First tonight, I'm going to talk about a veto that last week we voted on to have where aldermen could have a separate attorney from our corporate counsel. As the mayor of Waukegan, I'm responsible for ensuring that the taxpayer dollars are spent wisely and that city operations remain effective, transparent, and free of unnecessary duplication. This is why I vetoed this proposal and allowing City Council to hire their own attorney. Elrod Friedman is a municipal law firm that represents many, many municipalities. We have voted them in. We've done a contract 4 times. They do not work for me. They work as much for the aldermen, and frankly, I'm going to be honest, spend more time with the aldermen than they ever spend in my office. So I don't see the need for duplication. Again, they're an independent firm. They come in as a municipal attorney, so this need doesn't really prove to me that we need to have this, except that the aldermen would have their own attorneys, which would not be something that we have budgeted for. It would then affect what we would take the money from. 80 8.7% of our finances right now is spent on staff and, their salaries. The only place for this money to come out of is capital improvements. Personally, I feel our residents want their streets done more than they want their aldermen to have their own personal attorneys. So I have vetoed it. It will have a chance to be appealed, but at this point, that's where I stand on it. I want to talk a little bit about Vista. The city of Waukegan and all the elected officials, staff, and residents are obviously deeply concerned with the tragic death of Chelsea Adelphus, which occurred at Vista Hospital. First, I want to say our thoughts and prayers are with the family and her loved ones during this time. I personally attended her funeral this weekend, and what I will tell you is her family is hurting. If you have it in your heart to say a prayer tonight, please say a prayer for her family who is struggling. The Waukegan Police Department is doing, along with the state's attorney's office, they are doing a thorough investigation. When they are ready with their results, we will make those results public. But at this point, the investigation is still going on. And like I said, though, it's not just the police department, but those results will be turned over to the state's attorney, and they can look at that. Next, I want to talk a little bit about immigration because there's a lot of rumors circulating. The city of Waukegan firmly adheres to the provisions that you've seen me put out on Facebook in writing, that we follow the Illinois Trust Act. And for those of you who don't know what the Illinois Trust Act is, it basically says that local municipalities do not participate in ICE operations. We are separate from the federal immigration enforcement. It prohibits local police from engaging in federal immigration issues and safeguarding the rights and privacy of residents. It's important to note that, and to clarify this, because like I said, there's all kinds of different rumors going around. We do not share residents' records. We don't collaborate with the federal authorities concerning immigration enforcement. And again, I want to ensure everybody that this is our commitment, that we do not supply information, we do not participate in ICE. We don't know what ICE is when they're coming. Sometimes we might get informed after the fact. I think last time they were in Waukegan, we were informed that there was a DEA operation, which in fact was an ICE operation. So I just want residents to understand this is our policy. I've put that out. I will also be honest and say Chief Navarro and I from across the country have received threats on it. Fox News in New York did a story saying that we were harboring immigrants here. And from across the country, both Chief Navarro and I have received threats, including death threats about it. I'm just going to say this is our policy. We will stay with our policy. On to some general things. Last City Council, you heard me talk about the yearly sustainability report draft is now on our website. Please share your comments, and you have until February 7th via email to the green team at waukeganil.gov with the subject CY24 yearly report draft public comment. Put your name and organization and mail it, or you can mail it to 100 North Martin Luther King Jr. Avenue. And attention PZ Sustainability Report. The final version will be released on February 18th, which is our next City Council meeting, with an evening presentation to the council. And I want to thank Rachel Canton and the Green Team for their work on this document. So again, that's our next City Council meeting that you will have a presentation on this. Waukegan City stickers will be available for purchase starting February 15th. You can buy the city stickers in person at Waukegan City Hall, specifically at Window 3, not at the clerk's office, but Window 3, which is the police records. Alternatively, you can purchase the stickers online through our website, or you can, again, I want to remind people the early bird sale will continue until March 31st, so That's about half the price, so we recommend you get your city stickers early. The entire month of February is Black History Month. The month of February was chosen to coincide with the birthdays of Abraham Lincoln, who issued the Emancipation Proclamation in 1863, and Frederick Douglass, the African-American orator, social reformer, writer, and abolitionist. In 1976, under President Gerald Ford, Black History Month was officially recognized in the United States. I encourage residents to consider visiting our very own African-American Museum at the England Manor here in Waukegan. The website with information is theenglandmanor.com. I'd also like to remind you that the DeSable Museum of African-American History in Chicago is the nation's oldest independent African-American history museum. If you're taking a trip or looking for somewhere to take your family, please visit. And you can go to the desablemuseum.org for that information. February is also American Heart Month, and in recognition, the Waukegan Fire Department is offering the American Heart Association Basic Life Support CPR course. This course is designed for individuals ages 18 and older who wish to learn CPR and require a BLS course completion card for job requirements. Participants will receive an e-card certification from the American Heart Association at the end of the class, which is valid for 2 years. The next course will be held on Friday, February 21st at 1 p.m. at the Waukegan Fire Station Number 5, located at 3221 North Green Bay Road. And the cost for the Waukegan resident with an ID is $10, while the fee for non-residents is $60. And to register or to get more information, please email cpr@waukeganil.gov or call 847-249-5410. And again, you just heard Chief Pazer say how many people have taken the course. It's a wonderful way to, get involved and learn. You may save somebody's life. Director Garland talked a little bit about our waste collection and the problem with it. I'm going to reduce this to when people turn around and say, what can I do to save on taxes? Well, here you go. We pay per household $373, I think, per household for service. This will end up costing us more when we have to continually have our garbage that should be recyclable taken to landfills. They will end up charging the city for this. Because you are not charged as an individual, we as the city get the bill. So when we get those bills, we can only incur those bills for so long before it has to affect your tax bill. So this is something that you can easily do. Furthermore, I'd like our community to get better about recycling. Let's be environmentally conscious. Many communities are going to a program called Renew, which is when you get all that Amazon stuff that doesn't fit into recycling and you don't want to keep filling your garbage can up with, they have an orange bag that you can buy in the grocery store, and you can put that at the top of your recycling. Most municipalities are participating in this program. We in the city of Waukegan are not participating in the program because we can't get the basics down of not putting our grass clippings or our garbage in recycling bins. So I'm asking us to work as a community, work together, let's get it together and make sure we understand the difference between garbage and recycling. It is actually on your recycling bin with what can be recycled and what should not be. As always, you can find information on our e-news, waukeganil.gov, if you want to sign up for that. Please make sure that you watch. We've now done through Facebook. Mr. Cantu has put out all the events on a weekly basis for you to see what's going on. And I also want to remind people one last thing. Our next city council meeting will be on Tuesday, February 18th, because President's Day is Monday, February 17th. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to our clerk, Kilkelly. Thank you.
Ma'am, we have a,
Excuse me. Can we speak to the veto? I'd like to, okay. At what time would that be appropriate?
ask a quick question, yeah.
Yeah, I was going to ask either Stu or the clerk to describe for us in the audience what that process is like. What does that look like? What do you override?
Absolutely. So I have to, actually, could I have that piece of paper back, Alderman Felix? Oh, Janet's got it for me. Thank you. Okay, so the process for the veto is determined by Illinois state statute. As a council, as a mayor-council form of government, the mayor does not traditionally vote except in cases of a tie, when a supermajority is required, or when there's some other kind of complicated situations where she votes. The fact that she doesn't vote, or the mayor, whoever, whether it be he or she, doesn't vote in a 3.1 municipality, they do have the veto power. And so the way a veto works is that after the city council takes action, and it can be on a motion, a resolution, or an ordinance, the mayor can then submit her written objection, which she did to the clerk. It was posted on board docs. I believe it was put into your packets, describing her objections to the motion. That has to happen at the next regular meeting after the action is taken. So that first action was taken last meeting in January. Today, she's submitting her objections to it. The statute says then that every resolution and motion and every ordinance that is returned to the city council by the mayor shall be reconsidered by the city council at the next regular meeting following the regular meeting at which the city council receives the mayor's written objection. And so that you don't have to make a motion, it automatically goes on the agenda. If after reconsidering, it will go on the agenda under old business. If after reconsideration, 2/3 of all the alderpersons then holding office on the city council agree at that regular meeting to pass an ordinance, resolution, or motion, notwithstanding the mayor's refusal to approve it, it shall then become effective. So you have 9 members, 9 aldermen that have been elected. 2/3 would require an affirmative vote by 6 alders to override the mayor's veto. It would automatically become effective. And that timing, as I said, is just set by statute.
Thank you, sir.
Any other questions? No, okay. We're going to go on to proclamations, presentations, and appointments. The first proclamation is the 211 Day in Waukegan. Madam Clerk, would you read the proclamation?
Yes, I will. Thank you. Proclamation, 211 Day in Waukegan, February 11th, 2025. Whereas United Way of Lake County has been dedicated to serving children and families in our communities for more than 100 years. And whereas the critical service 211 Lake County, which was launched by United Way of Lake County on September 24th, 2019, is open and available for everyone in Waukegan and across Lake County, Illinois. And whereas 211 is a free, confidential, easy-to-remember, one-stop helpline that connects people in need to a wide range of essential health and human services and reduces non-emergency calls to 911. And whereas 211 enables the people of Lake County to get connected for help 24 hours a day, every day of the year, by phone, text, and online, regardless of the language they speak or where they live. And whereas 211 expert navigators are trained specialists who will listen, identify underlying problems, and guide people to available resources. And whereas since launch, 211 has made more than 375,000 connections to help from every zip code in Lake County, with Waukegan representing 35% of all calls and texts. And whereas 211 team members have compassionately answered 2,744 calls and texts from Waukegan in the past year alone, with 4,561 needs requested and 5,349 referrals made, mostly for help with housing and shelter, utilities, food, employment, and income support, and health care. And whereas 211 is available to 99% of America's population, and Lake County has led the way as a model to bring 211 services to all Illinois communities, so that every person in Illinois has access to quality information, resources, and assistance for addressing health and human service needs. And whereas the City of Waukegan is a key community partner committed to raising awareness of 211, and whereas daily, 211 provides vital information and referrals to individuals and families in our community to improve and save lives. And now therefore be it resolved that Mayor Ann B. Taylor and members of the City Council of Waukegan, Illinois, do hereby proclaim February 11th, 2025 as 211 Day in Waukegan and encourages everyone to become aware of the services provided by 211, adopted this third day of February 2025. Okay, I believe Christy Long is here.
Christy Long is, oops, can you hear me all? No? Okay. I want to, for those of you who don't know Christy Long, she's just a dynamic force for United Way. And she will be retiring May 1st, so you'll be back because we want to recognize you before you leave. But I just want to tell you what an incredible lady this has been for United Way. And all the things that she has done, 211 is just a part of it. And she's a Waukegan resident. She understands us. And I just want to say, when we started this, we didn't understand COVID at that point and how much of an effect this would have on 211 and the need for it. So thank you so much, Christy, for everything you do for United Way and for our city. And like I said, we're going to see you again before you retire. But thank you, everyone. Please give her a round of applause. Happy. We're not really sure we're going to let her retire. For those who don't know Christy personally, one, as good of a person she is for the community, she's that person with that heart of gold all the time. So, like I said, she will be sorely missed in our community, but we're not done with Christy yet, so.
Ma'am, you do have a second proclamation. I'm not sure if anyone here is here from the Miguel Juarez Middle School.
Anyone here from Miguel Juarez? Okay, then we'll just put that in our records. Okay. Next will be audience time.
Yes, audience time. You'll have 3 minutes. I'm going to call the first 5 people. Go ahead, go to the east side of the room, line up, be ready to go. The first 5, Diane Verratti, Ryan Edwards, Jarrell, the Reverend. You signed up. Did you want to talk, sir? No? Okay, thank you. Tiffany Verzani, Loretta Pabel, and Kathy Charity. Diane Verratti, Rayon Edwards, Tiffany Verzani, Loretta Pabel, and Kathy Charity. Let me put the timer on. Go ahead.
My name is Diane Verratti. I've lived in Waukegan since 1972. You know me. I speak with you on occasion when I have concerns about the administration of our city. When the election for city council members was held in April 2023, 4 of you were elected for the first time, freshmen, if you will. Since then, you have flexed your muscles, stating numerous times that you were elected to make change, challenge the status quo, hold department heads accountable, and run a city of approximately 100,000 residents. Collectively, the voters in your 4 wards gave you an average of 349 votes each. One of you received only 185 votes. I haven't seen evidence that you are any better prepared to serve on this council than you were 21 months ago when you took office. I still have no idea of the qualifications that you bring to this position. You have demonstrated minimal understanding of your roles as alderman. You do not appear to have made any attempt to learn the ropes. You continue to ask questions that have been answered. You refuse to follow protocol for making motions. You ramble and grandstand during aldermen's times. The last meeting of this council was, in my opinion, a disaster. You tried to force us, citizens, to pay for legal counsel for you when we have legal representation already. And I surely hope the veto on that one is affirmed. And you voted to change the zoning on a process that you carved out of an area zoned for research and light industrial to accommodate a fast food restaurant. Zoning ordinances are created to protect the residents and businesses within certain areas. The fact that you are willing to ignore the reasonable, well-founded objections of established business owners who employ hundreds of people is disheartening. Where is the protection that zoning is designed for? I sincerely hope that you will do better, that you will listen to those who head the city's departments instead of telling them what to do, that you will recognize that every position has a learning curve, and it's not too late for you to make meaningful contributions to the future of our city. Because I want to be able to sign up to speak at a meeting and affirm your decisions. Thank you for your foresight and your vision. I want to encourage you, and I want to support you. So please help me do those things. Thank you.
Mr. Rayon Edwards.
I can't say too much after that because she took a lot of my words. A lot of them. And for y'all to come here and act like y'all know so much, but I want to ask a question because there's a little bird chirping about you guys, you all Latino aldermen meeting with the mayor to have the police work with ICE. We want to know if that was true. We want to know what you guys got to say about that. But Mayor, I'm disappointed because it's Black History Month. I don't see no resolution for Black History Month. We know every year is February. I shouldn't have to wait till the second meeting of the month to be acknowledged when we are a big percentage of this community. Immigration. The 14th Amendment was ratified to guarantee equal rights and citizenship to all people in the limited United States, including formerly enslaved people. It was ratified in 1868 as part of the Reconstruction era. Why? To address the issues faced by formerly enslaved people after Civil War, to protect the civil liberties of people recently freed from slavery, to extend the protection of the Bills of Rights to the states, to give Congress the power to enforce the amendment. What does the 14th Amendment do? It guarantees the citizenship to all people born and naturalized in the United States. It provides equal protection under the law, prohibits states from depriving people of life, liberty, property without due process, authorizes Congress to punish states and limit citizens' rights to vote, prohibits former Confederate states from repaying war debts. This amendment had a specific purpose to former slaves, not illegal immigrants, coming to America to have their children and hide under the protection of the Constitution. Actually, when we think of all blacks had to endure to become free in their own country, it's a slap in the face and an insult for illegals to try to wrongfully take advantage of this amendment which established for us. If there was ever a time for us to understand our history, now is the time. And so what I say to you, Mayor, is, and I remind all of y'all, we are in a democratic state. Okay? And what my Latino community is doing right now is y'all poking a lunatic. You're poking the bear. I can't go in no other country without the proper documentation. And so to say to our people that we don't want our police working with them, I don't think that's right, right? Because I want my Latino community to understand something. When Democrats had it, they did nothing. They didn't make the process easier. They didn't remove barriers. They did nothing. Think about the people that had to go through the process and did it right to become citizens. Everybody should have to do that. Everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Tiffany Verzani.
Good evening, Council, Mayor Taylor, Clerk Kilkelly, Treasurer Swab. I'm Tiffany Verzani, the Director of Waukegan Public Library. We're pleased to share with you today our 2024 statistics of use and library accomplishments. With me today, although he sat down, is Edward Bushman, our facilities manager, who's responsible for a lot of the great work. Items of note included in this packet are that we saw over 7,500 uses of our study and meeting rooms, over 300,000 individual computer sessions, and just under 200,000 visits and items checked out. We made connections with over 30,000 people at outreach events and programs. The library enjoys partnerships with our Library Foundation and Friends of the Library, but also with vital community groups such as ASIS, Mano a Mano, PADS, UIC Extension, WPS 60, the Waukegan Arts Council, and Rosalind Franklin. Together, we bring vital programs, services, and collections to our community. This year, we added a makerspace, a mobile services van, a telehealth booth, a bike repair station, and made needed safety and accessibility improvements. Finally, we're excited to share that the Early Learning Center has been fully remodeled after the 2023 flood, and that we are embarking on a full youth department remodel this spring. That department has not been updated in over 25 years. We received a $125,000 grant from the Illinois State Library that will partially fund this, and we received a perfect score of 100 for that grant application. On behalf of the staff and the board, we're looking forward to building on our success and doing more for the community in 2025, and we hope to see you at the library. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Loretta Pabble.
Good evening. I'm Loretta Pable. I've been living in Waukegan as a homeowner for the last 31 years, and I have a quote for you that resonates. I'm here tonight actually as the president of the Waukegan Public Library Foundation Board. Bad libraries build collections, good libraries build services, great libraries build community. And the Waukegan Public Library 100% is here building community. I'm not sure if you're aware, but our programs actually start when children are born, when they receive a welcome packet. And they continue throughout the lifespan to reach out to youth of all ages and older adults even. We go through the lifespan. In fact, I'm not sure if you're aware of this either, but during the recent cold snap, it became apparent, we are a warming center and one of the few that are open past 5 p.m. In the past two years, as Tiffany has kind of alluded to, we have formed great partnerships with private donors. We've worked with our library board and the dedicated Waukegan library staff to move the library forward in significant ways. Through these collaborations, we've raised over, in the last 2 years, $100,000. We've made good use of those funds, and we've introduced essential features, including our new makerspace, where you can go and use all sorts of equipment that individual families probably can't afford, and our mobile services van, which can go out into the communities to reach our people who can't make it to the library. However, don't let that fool you. We enjoy over 11,000 visits to our library building over there every month. Our library is significant, vital, and important. But we're never really satisfied. Oh, I also want to mention we've included a sensory room for those who are non-neurotypical, who need a break from being in the library, and our telehealth talk box. These programs and resources promote health, wellness, foster inclusivity, enhance technology skills, support small businesses, and provide essential assistance to both seniors and students. But we're never satisfied, so I want to invite you all to join us and continue to support the library. On April 12th, we'll be having our library after hours. We'd like you all to attend, and we appreciate the city's continued support and appreciation of the library. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Ms. Kathy Charity.
Good evening, Mayor Taylor and City Council members. A new day, a new year, a new administration executing powerful executive orders. Hallelujah. Many changes are beginning to happen, not only in Waukegan, but around the world. Many people have awakened from the deep sleep called woke. and is now called Seeing the Light. First, I would like to give all my condolences to the families who have lost loved ones. So much is going on in Waukegan. Waukegan needs 2 hospitals. I remember working at Vista back in 2005 and then 2017. It was totally different then. First, I was going to say, anti-ICE protests were going on all weekend on Belvedere and also around the world. People were flying Mexican flags. Why? They also burned American flags in Los Angeles, not mentioning other places. For what? This is America. Learn the laws of the land, law and order. This behavior hasn't gone unnoticed. This is being seen around the world. Waukegan really needs a mayor to be transparent on all of these things. Also, I'd like to commend and give kudos to Code Officer Michael White. Mr. White has responded to many violations regarding McAllister Avenue. He's Johnny on the spot, and he will always return a call when he's able to. I think he should run for First Ward Alderman because actions always speaks louder than words. Speeding vehicles, loud music up and down McAllister all the time, music just jarring the houses. Why? It has to stop. If this continues, why don't you just take down the noise ordinance signs? The stop signs located on the corner of Brother Blanks' corner, it needs brighter flashing lights. The lights are very dim. Last year, when the streets were being repaired, they were removing the lead pipes. They disturbed my foundation around my tree, and I spoke to the engineer. His name was Anthony. I don't know if he worked for Public Works or what. He said he was going to get back to me. He never did. So that's the last time I heard. Anyway, it feels really nice in Waukegan now. At first, I couldn't handle it. Going to the stores, going to the restaurants, going to the malls and the banks. It feels like McDonald's. I'm loving it.
Thank you, ma'am. The next 3 will be Joseph Kopsick, Kelly Bilo, and Wygenia Briscoe. Joseph Kopsick, Kelly Bilo, and Wygenia Briscoe.
Let me first say I'm glad you're not working with ICE. It's unconstitutional. It should be abolished. And if people want undocumented immigrants to stop committing crimes, they should stop forcing them to live in the shadows as something less than a second-class citizens. My name is Joe Kopsick. I've lived in Waukegan for 8 years. On February 24th and April 1st of this year, eligible voters of Waukegan are called who will decide who will be the next mayor of the city. I rise to inform the community that one of the candidates in this upcoming election committed an act of physical battery and may have also constituted voter intimidation. On the evening of July 17th, 2021, an activist friend and I went to the public sidewalk out in front of what was then the Democratic Party headquarters of Lake County at 118 Genesee Street. I was holding a sign that read, "The President is a child molester." I had made this sign to refer to an incident that occurred January 6, 2015, when Joe Biden was swearing in a senator of Montana and groped that man's niece. This was broadcast live on C-SPAN 2. Footage of it exists, can be supplied if asked. Knowing that, I made a sign that said, "The President's a child molester," brought that sign to the front sidewalk out in front of an active meeting of the Lake County chapter of the Democratic Party in order to call local Democrats' attention to Biden's inappropriate behavior. Around 6:30 p.m., my friend and I noticed that 2 men were standing in front of the Cuban Experience cigar store across the street. One of them was Caucasian, the other was tall and African American. My friend quickly noticed that the second person was Sam Cunningham, and he drew this to my attention. As soon as we were able to confirm that it was actually him, Cunningham, from across the street, noticed my sign, which again read, "The President is a child molester," and he shouted, "That's part of the job." I suppose the case could be made that he was just joking, but at the same time, it's not a topic you should be joking about. So I said, "Molesting children is part of the job of being president?" And then my friend said excitedly, "Is that disgraced former Mayor Sam Cunningham?" He said this loudly enough for Cunningham to hear him. And he said this because Cunningham had gotten in trouble for, as you may well know, allegedly taking too much personal credit for the mayor's music festival and allegedly working with his mother to try to get a man named Mike Morales kicked out of his public housing unit as retaliation for posting a photo of Cunningham and his mother with devil horns. So hearing my friend call him disgraced former Mayor Sam Cunningham, Cunningham marched across the street and got up in my friend's face. I should note here that my friend was a full foot shorter than Cunningham in height. Cunningham said, "What'd you say?" pointed his finger at my friend's chest, and then gave him either a shove or a hard, firm, long poke in the sternum. This caused my friend to fall to the ground onto his backside. My friend then stood up, but sat down again to show that he had been put there by Cunningham and to show that he was not fighting back. At no point did my friend challenge Cunningham to a fight or lay a hand on him. Cunningham went inside the meeting, and his mother and another woman at the meeting called the police on them, claiming there were people laying down on the sidewalk, pretending as if Cunningham had not put my friend on the sidewalk by knocking him over. I'm not asking you to believe my account unquestioningly.
Thank you, sir.
Yes.
Kelly Belo. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Kelly Belo, and I'm a lifelong Waukegan resident. I agree wholeheartedly with what Diane Verratti talked to us about earlier. This whole Chick-fil-A thing, what a disgrace. This is the important things that y'all want to work on? Meanwhile, we've got a hospital that owes us, what, $200,000 in water bills alone, and we're not going to do anything about that, but we're going to worry about Chick-fil-A. Y'all got to get your priorities straight. I thank Alderman Martinez, who is my former alderman. A couple of you need to go home and read.
Thank you. Ms. Wygenia Briscoe.
Good evening. First, I want to say, I don't know why there's nothing here for Black History Month, but just to remind people here, the nation, that African Americans built this nation, and we built it for free. We didn't build it for a minimum wage, we built it for free. It's been a while since I actually came to the podium. First, I want to acknowledge the staff for the outstanding job that you guys do. I don't think that enough aldermen, there's some that do take time to recognize you guys, but I just want to recognize, because I watch the meetings even when I'm not here, I watch the planning and zoning meetings. You guys are so patient with the newer aldermen, and I appreciate you. I just want to say that. So kudos to you guys. The second person is Stuart. Stuart, I never really hear people acknowledge you. I just want to commend you for an awesome job that you're doing. The previous attorney that we had up here was too much for the mayor. You are explicit. You say exactly what the law says. You say exactly what needs to be done. And I appreciate the patience that you have when explaining. If you can't get it, you break it down where even a third grader can understand it. So kudos to you. My last point is that for the lawyers, as a longtime resident here, I do not support my tax dollars going towards paying for lawyers for aldermen. Thank you.
Thank you. Ma'am, that concludes the audience portion.
Thank you, everyone. And Ms. Briscoe, thank you for acknowledging my staff, because they take a lot of grief. And I will tell you, this team that we have is phenomenal. And I know I'm a bit of a mama bear in protecting them, but the way that they are spoken to and the way that they are brought up here and degraded is not something that any human being should have, especially this staff. And so thank you for recognizing that, because I couldn't agree with you more on it. Thank you. Okay, on to consent agenda. Can I get a first and a second to do the consent agenda,
So
items
moved.
A through D? Alderman Newsome, a second.
Second.
Alderman Florian. Anything that anybody wants pulled out? Okay, okay. Okay, consent agenda. Item A, a motion to approve the regular meeting minutes from Monday, January 21st, 2025. Item B, a motion to approve vendor payments dated February 3rd, 2025, totaling an amount of $1,632,241.05. Item C, a motion to approve and ratify regular payroll dated January 24th, 25, in a total amount of $1,995,576.47. Item D, a motion to approve and ratify miscellaneous payroll dated January 24th, 25, in a total amount of $35,049.08. There being no questions to the motion, roll call, please, Madam Clerk.
Alderman Bolton.
Aye.
Guzman.
Aye.
Martinez.
Aye.
Felix.
Aye.
Newsome.
Aye.
Turner.
Aye.
Donnerworth.
Aye.
Florian.
Aye.
Motion passed, ma'am.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Under reports and communications, Treasurer Schwab, would you like to speak?
Thank you. This afternoon, I received a phone call informing that someone had posted on the internet that I was convicted of Medicare fraud. That's a lie. I have never been investigated by Medicare. I've been a board-certified surgeon for 30 years, and I've never had a malpractice suit filed against me. I retired from active practice at the end of '07. I held a state license until January of '23 to do volunteer work for free. I bring this up because I'm the watchdog against fraud for the city and your tax dollars, and I'm on watch all the time. More reports will come on how I safeguard your tax dollars. Just a minute. The Treasurer's Office is responsible for correctly recording all money coming into the city, putting it in the funds according to the ordinances and the state laws. We were required to have a certain amount of cash, minimally invested, to pay the bills that the City Council votes on. I get quotes from several of the banks to get the best interest rates. And in fact, in 2024, I saved Waukegan taxpayers $9.4 million. I put a monthly newsletter, Treasurer's Report, on the city's website. My office is open 7 days a week from 8 to 5. Any questions, please call me personally at 847-856-9154. That's 847-856-9154, or email me at john.schwab, S-C-H-W-A-B, at Waukegan.il, WAUKEGNIL.gov. A copy of the monthly treasure report is available at the city, at Clerk Kelly's office on the first floor.
Thank you, Dr. Schwab.
Yeah, thank you.
There being no old business, new business, item 7, does anyone want to do an omnibus? Okay.
Sure.
Okay, we're going to take out item D, and did you want B, Alderman Turner?
B, C, D, and E. And
Okay, then we're gonna do them
We don't have
separate.
to take them out. If I could just raise a point.
Well, I just want to say, also, A requires some input from the alderman as well.
Okay, so we'll do them all separate. Okay. Item A, can I have a first and a second to the motion?
I so move.
Alderman Bolton, and who was the second?
Second.
Alderman Martinez. And this is a resolution approving a memorandum of key terms for the redevelopment of 200 North County and 38 North Genesee. This came to the Community Development Committee on January 21st. Questions to the motion? Any questions? Okay, did you have a question?
I do have a question. Weren't we supposed to find out where money was going to come from for this out of the, we don't, I mean, we're voting on something that we don't even know where the funds are coming from.
If I could, I did give do a quick presentation that would explain kind of things, and then what decision would need to be made tonight if you're ready to move forward. So, Mayor, can I? Yeah. Okay. So at the Community Development Committee last or 2 weeks ago, the committee moved forward with a resolution or a motion to direct staff to prepare a term sheet that encompassed the terms of the incentive that was being requested by the Waukegan Community Development Partnership. That the representative of the partnership have spoken a number of times before the City Council, and their initial phase of their proposal consists of 2 properties, 200 North County and 38 North Genesee. Both would be converted to primarily residential use with some commercial use on the first floor. If we could go to the next slide, please. Actually, one more slide after this. So, as previously stated, the project would result in approximately 25 new residential units in the 200 North County property, in 200 North County building, an additional 6,700 square feet of commercial space, which would be used as a shared fitness and co-working space for tenants. 38 North Genesee would include another, in addition to 6 residential units, 3,000 square feet of commercial retail space on the ground floor. Next slide, please. So the financial incentives that are being requested are for a total of $1.725 million, $1,725,000. The way that this is proposed to be structured would be $900,000 upfront. Originally, this was discussed as coming from the TIF 8 increment fund. We'll discuss that in a minute, as an upfront payment, which would help the developers in their initial construction of the, or renovation of both of these buildings. What we're referring to as the long-term incentive would be another $825,000 in increment, which would be generated over time by the TIF district. As we presented to the City Council, TIF financing basically works by more or less capping the level of property taxes that are distributed in the normal way to the city and the taxing district. And then as a property is improved and over time its value increases, the extra property taxes that are generated over time by this improved building are then used to, in this case, would be to help basically pay the developer back for eligible costs over time. The current TIF 8 will expire in, I believe, about 14 years. That TIF could be extended for another 12 years. That requires the consent of the General Assembly. They actually have to pass a bill to do that, and that usually requires the consent of both the school district, District 60 in this case, and also the Park District. So that's something that we cannot guarantee at this time, but the term sheet says that we will work in good faith to extend the life of the TIF district. Some additional incentives that were requested were a waiver of building permit and inspection fees for these two projects, and then 19 parking passes at the 225 North County parking garage. Originally, the request was for 30 years. I believe Alderman Felix has said that he would modify that request down to 5 years. So we can look at the kind of the financial, the next slide. This is a slide that I went through last time, which talked about the increment that we expect to be generated. Right now, if you pulled the full amount of the increment from the TIF, it would not be expected, at least according to the city's own financial analysts. The developers have a different view of this. If you pulled this money strictly from TIF and expected it to be reimbursed from TIF 8, there's a chance that that would not happen. It would probably be about $200,000 short. So one of the discussions that you'll have to have is, do you want to pull this directly from TIF, or do you want to bring that in from another source? Next slide, please. The impact of the additional incentives, if we're not looking at 30 years instead of 5 years of parking passes, the opportunity cost to the city would be around $91,000. Oh, sorry. No, it would be less than, $91,000, yes. So less than what it was previously. And then the estimated construction costs, they're looking at about $1.4 million. Those are construction costs, not project costs. That is, project costs are much higher because they require land acquisition. But what we would base our permit on is about $1.4 million. So the opportunity cost to the city, or the loss to the city by waiving permit fees, would be about $42,000. And so tonight, your decision, and I would encourage that the focus of the discussion be on the source of the upfront funding, specifically the $900,000 that has been requested. The TIF 8 currently has, the TIF 8 increment fund currently has, one more slide, please. Thank you. Has approximately around $3 million in it. However, there are a number of other obligations that the city has either tentatively committed to or would most appropriately be paid for by TIF. And so there is a discussion as to whether this money should be pulled from the TIF 8 district, one of the contiguous TIFs, which are 7 or 9, or another source, whether it be an interfund loan from the general fund, from the reserves, or from the RAP money. And I believe that that is all. You've relied on an attorney to explain a lot of financial matters, which is your first mistake. So if you have any questions specifically about how TIF works or where other money sources could come from, I know that Don and Noel are both available as well.
Do you mind? I just want to make sure I say something really quick. In terms of the incentives, I know that I listened to all the briefings. I know I listened to some of the concerns. In terms of the incentives, you give incentives to someone that's willing to put themselves out there first to start that first development. That doesn't say precedent, because not everyone, we're not going to just start giving money everywhere. It's the person who actually comes to us and offers their to start working in our city. It's a big risk, but they're willing to. That's why there's some of these incentives that we're going to give out, because it benefits us, the city, to spark that development. We don't have an established market. This is what we're trying to do. Once we have that, then the finance community will be able to see and be able to get comps. You'll be able to see what apartments are renting for in our area. But we need to establish a market. That's what we're trying to do in the downtown area. The YMCA building has been vacant for so long. So we're looking at 19 units, but also the storefront. Also, it was a YMCA. There's a fitness aspect of it there as well. And not only are these developers just doing that building, they already bought the other building, the 38 Genesee? 38 Genesee, they already bought the building. But the increment, there's going to be money coming out of there to also help out in this TIF. So I just wanted to make sure I address that. And also the parking space, I know that 30 years is a big commitment for us. We have 700 or a little bit under 700 parking spaces in the parking garage. We have the space, and to start this, to start to establish this market is well worth it.
Any other questions? I'm sorry, Alderman Florian?
Thank you, Mayor. Stuart, can you go back one slide? I didn't get all the numbers, I don't think. So the cost for the parking spaces is $91,000. The cost for the permits we won't get is $42,000. Plus, we're going to give them $900,000 up front, if I added correctly. Again, I'm a chiropractor, not a mathematician, but it's $1,033,000 that we're giving total as incentives. It's a pretty big number. And I have a couple questions. So we're going to give them parking spaces basically for free, but is there anything in the agreement that prevents them from charging for those parking spaces?
So the term sheet that is on the agenda right now is basically a two-page summary. If given the direction tonight to proceed, I would work with their attorneys to come up with a much more robust redevelopment agreement that would probably include much more detail about the TIF notes, which would be very typical. If that is something, if that is a restriction that you would like to the city council would like to add into the final agreement, that final agreement will have to come back to you. That is something that we could absolutely include.
It just doesn't seem fair if we're giving them for free. Like, let's say they'd be able to charge more for a unit that comes with a space than one that doesn't come with a space, but it was our gift to them originally to have that space for free. So that seems like that's something we might want to consider. And how can we, the agreement includes these incentives. And number 2, it says under number 2, direct the staff to go into negotiations with them about Lot B. Well, we just talked earlier about Lot B.
That's not on the motion for tonight.
It's in the board docs.
Yes, but that is not part of the resolution. That's not what you're voting on tonight.
Okay, so board docs wasn't updated?
Board docs just says that was prior discussion, I believe.
Well, it says this agreement includes the following.
Oh,
And then
yes.
it says 1 and 2.
Yeah,
And
no, that is not part of the term sheet that was included on board docs. It was part of the summary, and I do apologize for that.
Okay,
That is
so that's not
that-
part of what we're
Lot
voting
B
on.
is not included in what we're discussing
Okay,
tonight
thank
at all.
you.
I apologize for the confusion.
Okay, all right. And then, so number 1 says, directing them to agree, the total incentives 1.725 million. That's even bigger than the number I came up with. And part of what this TIF is supposed to pay for is the engineering for Seahorse Drive, which Alderman Guzman rightly brought up earlier. So just be aware, if we drain this TIF, we've now taken Seahorse Drive off the table. So that's a big deal. So I just want to make sure everybody understands there's only so much money in this TIF, and if we drain the whole TIF, there's lots of things that are not going to happen as a result of that. And you said, let me finish, Alderman Felix, please. You said that this wouldn't set a precedence. I disagree with you. That's your opinion, but my opinion is that it will set a precedence. And you said we need to establish a market. I know Mr. Shook redid the building at 20, let's see, what would it be? 208, maybe? I don't know, 210 Washington Street? He rented those apartments in a month. We have an established market. We know those apartments will rent. He told me himself he expected it to take over a month for those apartments to rent, and they rented in a week, all 3 of them, or 4 of them. I think there's 4. Anyway, I think we're being hoodwinked in some ways into thinking we must do this in order for certain things to happen. They already bought one of the buildings that Stuart had up on the thing, the building that the Chinese restaurant was in. They already did that without our help. So they obviously think that there's a market to do it, or they wouldn't be investing their money in there.
Can I follow up? So in terms of all these other projects, I know there's a concern for Seahorse Drive and all these other projects for engineering for the Seahorse Drive, for engineering on some of the other aldermen for Washington Corridor, for all these other projects. We have the RAP money. Some aldermen, think that we still have 10 million. We have 13 million right now.
And how many lawsuits?
Use the 13 million, we would get bonds to cover, if we ever had to cover.
Remember, bonds means loans. Just what bonds
Yes,
sounds
but-
nice, but remember that means loans that we're going to pay back with taxpayer
This
dollars.
is something our legal counsel said we would have to do. We wouldn't be able to just throw 30 million, 40 million, 50 million at a lawsuit. We would have to do this. This is separate from here. That doesn't lose the opportunity. These are things that are separate. We're not just going to stop one thing to, worried about another thing. We have to progress the city forward. So your concern in terms of having the money for this engineering, for the HVAC system for the library, for the the 1.5 that we need for the garage, we have RAP money there. And by the way, no one has raised their money and raised their hand and said, I want this to be allocated, which that is where we want to go after we're done with this. We have to start thinking about what we're going to do with that RAP money. But the money is there, so we shouldn't fear that, that we don't have any money. And also, the last council meeting that we just kept hearing where there's no money, We have money. If you sit down with our finance director, we have the money. But obviously we have to use it the right way. So the RAP money, we have it to make sure that we take care of a lot of these things, and we can direct it there. The money's right there, so the money's there. I think that, there a lot of things that we can agree on is to establish a market downtown. Mickey, you brought up Mickey. He's part of this group. The person that you were talking about that is doing really good work is part of this group. So this is something that it would be good for our community.
Alderman Guzman is next, and then you. I will say one thing. $13 million may sound like a lot to you. It is nothing when we're talking about some of these projects. And so I do want aldermen to keep in mind that, yes, if you say that to the average person, 13 million, but when you start doing some of these things, and the other thing is why you say take bonds out, bonds affect our credit rating drastically. And that's why we were able to move up our credit rating by paying off some of the last administration's bonds that they took out for roads. So we need to kind of keep that in mind. We don't want to go back to that because whatever bonds we take out, your interest rates will be horrendous. So, Alderman Guzman?
Excuse me. So I was listening to everything that's going on. Okay, so it says Stu made that we'd be losing $91,200 for city parking. How much has that generated since the parking has come? 19 spaces. Has it redded out the whole thing since we built the thing?
No, but there are actually requests.
So basically, in all the years that this parking lot has been here, it has not generated $91,200. 19 spaces. So that number is fallacious, doesn't mean anything. That's what you could generate if you had people that wanted to take it. So that means nothing. So second thing, I did want to amend this to add a parking fee because I don't think we should be giving it out for free. Every apartment building, if you could either park in the street or you add a fee for parking with a garage or whatever. So I would add in like a $25 fee that the developer would ask the tenant to pay to take one of their those parking spots.
There are monthly fees for parking, which I believe. Can I have our
but
writing
instead of doing it free, we would do it
remember.
for $25.
$25 a week, a month, a year?
No, a month.
I'm going to have Deputy Chief Neal come up and tell you how much a monthly pass is with discount. Oh, it is 80? Is that it? Okay.
There's a special pricing for people that rent in the downtown area, right? From what I understand.
Mayor and council, the cost for parking garage parking per month, regular price, is $80 a month.
What about the discounted price for people that live down there?
I'm not familiar with the discounted price.
As far as I remember, I think Noel mentioned that there's a special pricing for people that live in the downtown area. It's part of the UDO.
It's not part of the UDO, it's part of the city code, and it's for parking lots B and D. There's a reduced price for the monthly passes in those lots.
And what is that?
If they're submitted in bulk, the first 4 are free, and instead of the normal $60 a month, they are $35 a month.
So there you go. We'll charge $35 a month. Add that on for the amendment.
Well,
and then I also wanted, sorry, Alderman Felix, I want to mention one more thing. Okay, so Alderman Florian said that it could happen. So there you go. The gentleman rented out the apartment in less than a month. So that means these gentlemen come in here, so there is people that want this. So it will rent out quickly, so we will generate revenue, so we will bring in more traffic to the area, and that's what we want. to bring back the Genesee Street. We probably never have it. We'll probably never get to the point that we had it in the 60s and 70s and 80s, but at least bring it back so these businesses can survive. And whether there's 19 apartments or 26, what I was told, imagine if that's 2 people per apartment or 3 or 4. Now you're doing in the couple hundred people now. Now that goes down to the groceries, that goes down to gas, that goes down to sales tax, that goes down to multiple city stickers. I mean, you're talking revenue on top of revenue on top of revenue. But if you're looking at the short-minded part, is it gonna come and we're gonna be short $200,000? Yeah, that's what the math tells you, but they don't tell you the whole picture. They tell you a very smart part of it. They don't tell you how much tax dollars they're putting into the community. It doesn't tell you how much gas they're gonna be spending, how much food. It doesn't tell you the huge, big picture of the whole thing. So I agree with it. I think it should move forward. Thank you. Except for the parking, amend that to $35 a parking space. Thank you.
Okay, Alderman Turner?
Thank you. I'll be brief. Ideally, I would like to see us not spend tax dollars on this. Ideally, I would like to see the private investors, the private market carry this entire project. However, if you think back where we were and think about where we would be had not the city carried the whole nut for the renovation of the Genesee Theater, the purchase and demolition of the Academy Theater, the building of the parking garage, the resurfacing of the sidewalks, the street lights down there, what do you call them? Decorative street lighting. There's a number of things that the city invested in its entirety. I've been here 25 years, and I've heard numerous times from numerous people we should reinvest or reinvest and redevelop the downtown. And here we have these guys that are coming in, and they're asking for a public-private partnership. Again, ideally, I wouldn't want to. But if we're going to kickstart this thing, this is the start. Well, we started it with the Genesee Theater and such, as I described back in 2005, including this building. But if we're going to redevelop or develop the downtown, we, the city, we're going to have to invest. And I think it's rather a small commitment because, as I said, these 2 projects are going to be the linchpin for further development, and I think you will see maybe 100, 200, 300 people living downtown, and that's going to carry your businesses and bring the, quote, revenue that Alderman Guzman described. Thank you.
Okay, can I go ahead and call for the vote?
We need to know where the money's going to come from first.
Yeah, there still needs to be, someone needs to make a motion to designate what the source of at least the $900,000 upfront.
Through the TIF, through the TIF.
I'll second that.
8?
And
7 and 8.
just to clarify, Alderman Turner, the reason we need this is because there is not $900,000 immediately available. And so in the same way that you always ask for like a resolution to say where you're spending how much money you're spending and where you're spending it from, that's what we're asking for here.
So the TIF 8 has 200 and almost 3 million, right? Is that? Yeah. So it would be TIF 8 has almost 3 million.
Some of that money is accounted for
Yeah.
already with the parking garage.
So it would be TIF 8, and I think I got a second from.
I'll second it.
So now, is this for the whole motion or just to have the money come from TIF 8?
For the whole
That would be basically an amendment to the motion right now has a blank in it. And it says, if you look on the second page of the resolution, it says that the upfront development assistant be designated as, and what Alderman Felix is proposing is that that blank be filled in with money from the TIF 8 increment fund. And I think that would be appropriately an amendment to because there was a motion and a second to approve the resolution with the blank. We don't want to have a blank, so there's a motion to amend the resolution as presented to fill in the blank and say that the $900,000 will be taken and upfront financing will be taken from the TIF 8 increment fund. Mayor, that's the motion. Alderman Felix would need a second.
I'll second that.
Okay, Alderman Guzman was the second.
Then there would need to be, then there can be discussion on that, a vote, and then a vote on the resolution as presented and as amended.
And don't forget my amendment to add the $35 parking space.
That's going to be the overall?
Or
on the
or
overall
it could
one?
be added on to this.
That could, well, if the movement of the amendment, do you agree with that addition? Dollars in what period?
Per month,
$35 per month.
per space.
Per month, per space, so basically taking the amount down from 80 a month for 5 years down to 35.
And how many spaces are we designating?
19.
That's my question. I mean, per car, per vehicle, or?
No, so it's just 19 spaces. One thing I want to add, a lot of people don't just have one car, so, you know, they're going to be, there's going to be more space to use there, but we want to just offer 19. Obviously, people have 2 cars, a couple has 2 cars, you know, that's why I wanted to just at no cost, because there's still going to be money there
Mayor.
coming to the city, but I'm okay with it.
Can we go with the vote?
Wait a minute, Alderman Turner?
Yeah, just, might it be possible to pull that money from the the revenue we already have in the bank and the account from the casino and marijuana dispensaries?
I think you want to save that for some big, big projects that we have, because you guys want to spend money. Everybody has an idea of a big project they want to do. And why 13 million sounds like a lot, I don't think you want to be giving parking away for $35 a month when you've got big projects.
Well, Mayor, maybe, I don't know if Noel wants to come up, but that was one of the possibilities that was discussed.
Well, but it's already, we already second that
Yeah, you
motion.
second, but you know you have discussion on that.
Oh.
Is everybody ready for the vote?
I think we're ready to vote.
We're ready
Okay, so the motion is to amend the resolution to state that the $900,000 would be coming from an upfront financing, which means that they get a check upfront, from the TIF 8 increment fund. The other term in the term sheet that was presented and that was put on board docs says that there's $825,000 that is accrued over time, over the life of the TIF, that would be paid back afterwards. But for this $900,000, it would be pulled from the existing TIF 8 increment fund, and that the instead of a full waiver for 5 years, that the spaces would be $35 a space per month for 19 spaces for 5 years. That's the motion. Oh, hold on.
One question real quick. Do they have to prove their financial stability before they get money up front from us? Do they have to put their financing in order for that?
So what the term sheet says, and we can, I mean, I could, sorry, didn't know.
I just want to specify that the way that we do parking is monthly permits. It's not designated spaces. So I would request that the language read monthly permits, not parking spaces.
I agree, because let's just not close it off.
Yeah, and that would be consistent with our other parking-related ordinances. I'll be glad to comment on the other if you wish that I do.
Thank you,
Wait.
Director.
Mayor, don't go away, Noel. Can I ask her, because they said she had some information and input about other sources for the money. I'm just curious. She's one of our long-term employees. She knows a lot about what's going on. I'd be curious what your other, I don't know what to say, your other options were.
Sure. Thank you for the question. My opinion is the same as Alderman Turner's, that it makes more sense to use RAP money for this upfront payment at least. It's a funding source that's available to you. It's fully within the city's control, not governed by state statutes like TIF is. Doesn't have the reporting requirements that TIF has. It's more flexible for the city council and for the developer. So if it's a project that you want to fund, I would suggest, if it were me making the decision, it would be RAP money. It's not me making the decision, it's your decision to make.
Thank you very much. That was helpful. And I do want to kind of address the fact that Alderman Hayes is not here tonight. I really feel this is a hugely important conversation, and I think it would be wise of us to hold this over till he's here at the next meeting to have his input. I'm sure none of you would want to miss this discussion, and it seems only fair and respectful that we would wait till he was here.
Okay,
We already discussed it. We already know where he stands, don't we?
No, we
No,
don't.
he hasn't
We
discussed
didn't
this.
decide we were going to do TIF money after our
We had a presentation.
Our learned employees that you guys always praise recommended we do something different, but that never seems to matter. But he was not here for this discussion.
We had, back in May, that's when we first started the discussion. We even had a presentation on TIF that day. And then we also had our attorneys present a presentation on TIF multiple times. So I don't understand. Hayes made it clear he's not going to vote for it. You can look back in the videos. I mean,
But he's not here to say that himself. It's my prerogative to ask to have it held over, right? Just like when you held over something in committee because it was your prerogative to do that.
Well,
Okay, so generally how we do this is we honor when an alderman asks for a holdover.
not all the time.
Motion to override the holdover.
Second.
If you've got, what, 6 votes, is it?
Yeah, so once again, we'll just read from the ordinance here. So every ordinance and any other matter coming before the council shall, at the request of a member of the council, be held over until the next regular meeting before a vote is taken thereon, unless, and this is weird because it says by consent, but it really is a motion, by motion of 2/3 of all members of the council present, the same may be taken up for immediate consideration. The council includes the mayor. We only have 9 people here, so if there's 6 votes to hear tonight, we will continue to hear it. If there's not 6 votes, it will be held over for 2 weeks. There's really, it's the whole council. It says it doesn't say the alderman. It actually says the council. Sometimes like when I talked about the veto, it only talks about the alderman. This is the city council. The city council is defined as including the mayor, but luckily, since we have somebody missing, it's 2/3 of 6, so we don't have to count a fractional person. It's 6 votes to override the holdover. Do you want to call the vote on the?
Yeah. Can I call the vote on the holdover?
Alderman Bolton.
No.
Guzman.
No.
Martinez.
No.
Just to be clear.
Yeah, sorry, yeah, okay. If you want to, let's start this over, because if you want to vote on this tonight, vote yes. Yes.
So can we start?
If you want to hear this tonight, vote yes. If you do not, if you want the holdover to stand, vote no.
Alderman Bolton.
Yes.
Alderman Guzman.
Aye.
Alderman Martinez.
Aye.
Alderman Felix.
Aye.
Alderman Newsome.
Nay.
Alderman Turner.
Aye.
Alderman Donnerworth.
Aye.
Alderman Florian.
No.
Mayor Taylor.
I'm going to vote no on this.
You have 6 yeses.
Okay.
So the holdover fails. We are back to the motion on the amendment, which would designate the source for the $900,000 upfront financing as being the TIF 8 increment fund, and would also add in the $35 per permit per month, charge. So Mayor, you can entertain more discussion.
Okay, did you guys understand that? There shouldn't be any more discussion, right?
Is there, let me ask a question. Is there any chance that we could take it out of the RAP money? I'm not in favor of taking it out of the TIF because it has already been designated for projects that we have. I'm all for development. I've been sitting here a long time, and I'm not in favor of using tax dollars for upfront for a developer. when they need the city's money for the project. I'm really not in favor of that. I will go along if it's coming out of something other than this TIF.
Okay, you have to make the motion.
Well, I wanted to say, so the words matter, right? So this is why I spent so much time, I have to do so much research. Even like after we vote, I can even point out the strategy for things in terms of the way they're being used. When they say that is, that, what's that word that is allocated for, or what's the word they're using?
The allocations?
Well, yeah, so the question is, has it been designated?
Designated.
Yes.
There's only 2 items, and they gave us a list, right? They gave me a list. There's only 2 items that are actually under contract. So none of these other things we haven't voted on it. They're like a wish list, right? But we have the right money to take care of these things. But when they talk about that it's designated, that's just words saying, I want to use this money for it. But it's not, we don't have a contract, it's not, set to be used from that fund. That's up to us still as a council.
Mayor?
Can I say one thing
Yep.
real quick? I think you're going to give the developer more flexibility with RAP than you will with TIF.
Yeah, we want the increment to come from the TIF, so we're not just giving money away. It's going to come from the TIF. So I think that's probably the best way to do it. And they have to go, when it's coming out of a TIF, there's certain regulations that we have to follow, that it's more, we're securing our city's best interest at the same time.
Okay, Alderman Florian?
He's correct in a way in what he's saying, but when the money comes back into the TIF, it's still designated as TIF money, and there's only certain ways you're supposed to spend TIF money. And as Alderman Newsom said, it's more restricted and designed that way because of the law that created TIF districts in the first place. So the fact that the money will come into the TIF as the project develops, that's going to happen either way, whether we take the money out first or not. That's what the purpose of a TIF is, right? So, I mean, I really think, for once, we should listen to the staff and do what they tell us to do. And our most senior alderwoman, 20 years, 22 years, what is it, Alderman Newsom?
I might rephrase most senior alderman, but
longest serving.
Can we call the vote?
you can.
We still have a standing motion for the amendment. And so, Alderman Newsom, if you'd like to make a different motion, this motion has to be voted on first. So, Mayor, do you want to call the vote on the amendment that would have designated the $900,000, which is only about half of the incentive, to coming from TIF 8?
And the 35.
And the 35, yes, the 30,
Okay.
yes.
Does everybody understand what they're voting on? No. This is the amendment to, they wanted out of TIF 8 for the $900,000 and then the $35 per space. So that's the first thing on the table. If you vote on that, then Alderman Newsom's motion, if you get a majority, that motion wouldn't go into effect.
There's no second for that one.
I'm going to go forward, right?
Roll
You want
call,
to go forward with
please.
the amendment, for the vote, right?
For the vote, yes, and then for the other one, it has to be a separate vote?
Once it's amended, so here's what will happen. If you vote yes on this, then we go to the voting on the resolution as amended. If you vote no on this, then we still have a blank space. And Alderman Newsom can make an alternate proposal, but we have to take this proposal first.
This proposal is for the TIF 8.
TIF 8, $35.
Okay, yes.
Okay.
Please let's vote on this.
Okay, roll call, please.
Alderman Bolton.
Aye.
Guzman. Martinez.
Aye.
Felix.
Aye.
Newsom.
Nay.
Turner.
Aye.
Donnerworth.
Aye.
No.
Motion passed.
Okay, so now we have We have one more vote on this, which is to approve the resolution as amended, which includes the amendment that you just voted on. So what this will do is we'll approve the term sheet and directs Corporation Council to work with the developer to prepare a final redevelopment and incentive agreement, which is a pretty substantial document. You're talking about a lot of money here, so this has to be well papered, which will be brought back to you for final approval.
Okay. Any questions to that motion? Okay, roll call, please, Madam Clerk.
Alderman Bolton.
I just want to say I've definitely worked with these developers and talked with them, so I say aye.
Guzman.
Aye.
Martinez.
Aye.
Felix.
Aye.
Newsom.
Nay.
Turner.
Aye.
Donnerworth.
Aye.
Florian.
Nay.
Motion passed.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
Thank you for the direction. You will be receiving updates as we work with the development group.
Okay. Item B, can I have a first and a second?
So move.
Okay, that was Alderman Martinez, a second.
Second.
Alderman Donnerworth. This is a resolution approving a professional services agreement with SB Friedman Development Advisors, LLC, for the development advisory services related to parking lot B.
Mayor?
This got held over in committee.
It did?
Yes. Yeah, because Alderman Felix asked for it and we gave it to him.
Item C, can I have a first and a second?
I so move.
Okay, that was Alderman Bolton, second.
Downward.
Alderman Donnerworth. A resolution approving the First Amendment to the lease agreement with Gillian Marine Construction LLC for a portion of the water plant parking lot property. Any questions to the motion?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
All right, so
Guzman's first, your second.
Actually, I was just going to put a motion to hold over.
Alderman Turner, did you have something?
my question, comment pertains to all four B, C, D, and E. So we I'm
think
sorry, thank you. My question or comment pertains to all four B, C, D, and E. So we can go ahead with the holdover, and then I'll comment on the next one.
Mayor, Stu had the reasons why we discussed it in committee. It came out of committee. We were talking about the weight of the trucks coming in and out, and we were possibly wanting to ask them to put a weight limit for the ones that are coming through our Seahorse Drive, and also maybe having them utilize boats to bring in the heavier loads so it doesn't mess up our roads. I think Stu, I don't know if you want to wait for the next one?
So you want us to hold over C, D, and E? Is that what I'm hearing?
No.
No, just C.
Just C. Oh. Can I have a first and a second to the motion?
First.
Second.
Alderman Felix, second was Alderman Martinez. An ordinance amending Section 3-10 of the Code of Ordinances, Waukegan, regarding seasonal tavern licenses. Any questions to the motion?
Yes, ma'am, if I may.
Yes.
So with all four of these, B, C, D, and E, they were on the Community Development Committee earlier this evening. And, you know, we kind of go back and forth with this. There's no consistency. My understanding, per the most recent proclamation, if you will, was that something that was heard in committee would not be held on the agenda of the meeting, council meeting that same night. But it seems that we kind of go back and forth.
Well, that's what was started, and then you guys wanted things pushed right away, so we're trying to appease the aldermen. But really, you're right, it should go 2 weeks when you present something new on the committee. That was what I initially came into office doing.
Right.
So that we could do that, so you could go back to your constituents and have time to talk to them about it. But then everybody wanted things, no, we want this on the agenda, we want this on the agenda.
Yeah.
So,
And I agree, and I think I was one of the ones that promoted that concept of moving fast. I want to do things quickly, get it done, right? But I believe it was last meeting that Alderman Felix brought up. He wanted something to come up on the agenda that night. What was that about? Do you recall? I don't recall.
Actually, it's the development we've just voted on.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but we didn't, right? Because that was the reason that we had to hold it 2 weeks. And then tonight, so anyway,
This
let's
was
take the
just
vote.
something
But
that-
I just like to see some consistency.
Yeah.
So that
Things should be held over 2 weeks, and then that means that there's really not going to be exceptions to that, so Alderman can't be calling either Stu or my office asking for something different, and we need to be consistent about that.
Well, I disagree. I think we should have consistency, but keeping it moving and get it on the agenda. I don't see why we have to have,
So you want these voted on tonight, then?
yeah, we got them up here. We're voting on them. We already held over two. My point, Mayor, is just, and I don't want to belabor it, it's just that we should be consistent so to lessen or avoid confusion. That's my point.
I
Thank you.
still say things should have 2 weeks in between, so aldermen have the time to talk to their constituents. But, so we're voting on D, correct? We've already
ma'am.
done a first and a second. Is that correct, Madam Clerk?
Alderman Felix and Alderman Martinez.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Alderman Bolton.
Aye.
Guzman.
Aye.
Martinez.
Aye.
Felix.
Aye.
Newsome.
Nay.
Turner.
Aye.
Donnerworth.
Aye.
Florian.
Aye.
Motion passed.
Thank you, Madam Clerk.
And Mayor, I'm sorry I wasn't here. The reason, the reason that this did appear on the same agenda was because it was basically correcting a scrivener's error, and it was not like an actual license itself. So I apologize for not being up here on the dais.
E.
So moved.
Okay, so Alderman Florian, second. We need a second.
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 Alderman Felix, and that is a resolution approving an agreement with Municipal GIS Partners, Inc. for Geographical Information System Services in the amount of $90,000. So for those who don't know the background on this, GIS is important for everything that we do. We have never been allowed to be part of the Lake County, or it's not Lake County, it's the GIS Consortium, because they only work with city management form of government. This particular, GIS will be working with us to some degree. We can't be part of the consortium, but they will let us work on some projects with them. So that's what this is for. Any other questions to the motion? Roll call, please, Madam Clerk.
Alderman Bolton.
Aye.
Guzman.
Aye.
Martinez.
Aye.
Felix.
Aye.
Newsome.
Aye.
Turner.
Aye.
Donnerworth.
Aye.
Florian.
Aye.
Motion passed.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Item F, can I have a first and a second to the motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, Alderman Florian and Alderman Donnerworth, this is an ordinance amending Chapter 6 of the City of Waukegan Code of Ordinances regarding the installation of bird-friendly glass on city-owned facilities. Alderman Guzman?
Okay, I just want to make sure that it's clear that we are not just going to put this on our windows unless there's a fracture or a window has to be replaced, correct?
Correct.
So this, what this requires is only for city-owned buildings above the second floor, and what it says is that when there's a new construction or renovation.
Okay.
So that is what triggers it. We're not requiring it we're not requiring that everything be changed right now for this.
So let me clarify, does that mean if we replace a window but it's not a renovation project, would that have to change into that glass?
Not for an individual window replacement.
Okay.
No.
Just so everyone's aware. Any other questions to the motion? Roll call, please, Madam Clerk.
Alderman Bolton.
Aye.
Guzman.
Aye.
Martinez.
Aye.
Felix.
Aye.
Newsome.
Aye.
Turner.
Aye.
Donnerworth.
Aye.
Florian.
Aye.
Motion passed, ma'am.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Before we go on to alderperson time, if I am not up here at a time when an alderman is speaking, please be respectful of our staff. Please do not put them under the bus by calling them up here. Please don't embarrass them or try to humiliate them. I am asking for all of us up here to be the courteous alderman that I know you can be. With that, Madam Clerk.
Alderman Bolton.
Yes, with that being said, I want to acknowledge our staff for all the hard work they do. I'm very much appreciative for the time and taking the calls to each department, employees. I really want to give a shout out to Sean Nunak. I think he's gone, but he has just talking with him and observing him doing above and beyond. And I just want to acknowledge you, as well as all our staff. Also, I want to thank our social service and community services such as behavioral health, PADS, our social services for being there when I've had to call on to ask for assistance for our homeless, those that are struggling with their drug addiction. They have been there working along with our city. So I just want to give a shout out to that. Also, our clergy and church community, thank you for stepping up to the plate every time that we call and contributing what you have to the city council and city. Thank you. That's all I have.
Alderman Guzman.
Good evening. First, I want to start off with Alderman Florian. Acknowledged them last time, and I was going to too, but it's totally slipped my mind. California, I want to send out my regards to them, and hopefully they're doing great. And I know they're getting some help from our neighbors down south and up north. I mean, I know my prayers go out for them because it is a hard time for them with their forest fires on a yearly basis. Secondly, I want to speak about water main breaks. Director Garland, can I ask you a couple questions? Because I've received a couple questions from my constituents. They asked me, is there any way that we can keep avoiding these because there's so many? And I tell them I don't think so. I think it's because of the ground moves up and down, like you said earlier. Is there any way to just not keep going through this over and over again? Because like you mentioned, there was 14 so far this season.
That is correct. There's no way to avoid it. I mean, we have some old infrastructure throughout the city, so we're going to have it.
So are you saying is if we put new infrastructure in, that wouldn't happen, or will it happen?
We will still continue to probably have them because there's different levels of a water main break. It's not just one issue. But in the city of Waukegan, that is the main issue of older pipes throughout the city.
Okay, so, but just to clarify, even if they were new, they would still be bursting?
Correct.
Okay, so for the constituents watching, please be advised that even if we would replace these, they would still work. It's just part of where we live at and ground moving from freezing to thawing. Thank you, Director. Next thing, I had a couple residents call me about Vista, and I just was speaking to the Chief Fazer, and if you call the ambulance and they come to your place and you don't want to go to Vista, you can request them to get you a private ambulance, okay? Or they'll help you out to your car or whatever you need, okay? Because I know there's a bunch of residents that don't want to go to Vista, but that is your other option. Either you drive yourself or the ambulance, ambulance comes and they said, well, you don't want to go there, we can request you get a private ambulance, which you have to pay, okay? Or however that goes. Okay, again, city stickers, February 15th, March 31st, early sticker, half price, like the mayor said. So let's jump on those if you want those. Okay, I also had I had two other businesses call me about the C1 licenses. Okay, if they can get it automatically and just like the other ones, we did a citywide. No, C1 licenses are a case-by-case basis. It does have to come back to the city council. It is not just because you sell your business, now you can just transfer, no. the license, no. I mean, you can sell your business, but you won't be able to get your C1 license, which is selling liquor. You can apply for, I think it's F license for beer and wine? Is that what it is? F1 for a beer license, you would be able to get that, but you would not be able to get your C1 license without coming back to City Council and get that approved, okay, for those who have called. The RAP money. We haven't had this conversation in a while. We were supposed to hold off on it, but I heard people talking about it tonight, and I've heard other people, and then I would really like for this conversation to start again. Can we start having these RAP money discussions again to decide what we're going to do with the casino money? Stu? Is there any way we can start having the RAP money conversations again? Because they halted for a reason, but I've already heard them come up with quite a bit of times. And I would like stuff move forward to see where this money is going to be allocated or where we're going to move that money to.
We can definitely schedule, I can talk with the chief of staff and the mayor to discuss when we can put that back on committee of the whole, given the new information that we've received.
Great, thank you. So there was a comment earlier during audience time saying that if there's 3 aldermen had a meeting with the chief and said we were going to cooperate with ICE. No, that is incorrect. We did have a meeting and find out what is the city strategy of what's going to be happening. And what we were told and what we will abide by is by the Trust Act. Okay? That forbids us for interfering in anything. So for anybody who ever said that, that is totally incorrect. Myself, I've been in numerous meetings for Know Your Rights to understand the system of which way to do it and to move forward with your situation and what's going to happen. Okay. Last meeting I made a comment about congratulating our 47th president of coming to office. If I was in office, I would have congratulated our 46th president. And then if I'm still in office, I would have congratulated our 48th president. That is the highest office in these United States of America. And I feel whoever holds the office, in my part, I am an elected Democrat. I would hope next time there would be a Democrat, but I will still congratulate whoever holds the highest office of our land. Saying that, aware that it's still dark outside, kids are still in school. Please be advised with the school buses come out with the stop sign for kids to come out. Don't just go around them because they might go in front, they might go in the rear. So please wait for that stop sign to come back in and let everybody know that the child is off the road and it's with his parents or on their way home. Thank you. Have a good day.
Alderman Martinez.
Thank you, Madam City Clerk and Council. First, I'd like to thank Chief Garland and the Public Works for the water main breaks. They were out there responsive. They were out there in sub-zero temperature. I went there and I actually saw them working. And I know it was very hard. It probably could be overwhelming too because you guys had, like you mentioned, over 15. So I commend you and your staff for your continued efforts you guys have exhibited. And the constituents in the 3rd Ward appreciate all that you guys do. I will be kind of short here, and I want to go ahead and move on. I will say that, again, Alderman and the Mayor talked about the city stickers. They will be going on sale on February the 15th. I think they're going for $40, so that's a pretty good deal. And then also, I'd just like to, for the gentleman here that talked about it, I'm very, very unfortunate, and I'm sorry that you went through that incident with Mr. Sam Cunningham. You described it maybe being combative and defiant, but I don't think he was ever charged. So my point is that there's two sides to every story. So, and I just wanted to mention that. Some of the things that I did over the weekend, the last couple of weeks, on Saturday, the 25th of January, I was present at the Waukegan High School Junior ROTC drill team benefit that was held at the Brookside campus. It was amazing. It was especially good to see the cadets perform, the position, the sharpness, and the discipline involved. It was very impressive to see that. So I walked away very, very impressed, and I know a lot of work went into it, a lot of diligence, so I want to thank the families that were there, the cadets, and the food was also good. And it was nice seeing the mayor there with her husband. So it was a very nice event that I also attended. Also, last Friday, I was also honored to be selected as one of the 5 guest panels alongside other distinguished community leaders at the Whittier's Elementary School. The hosts were 5th graders, and the theme was growing into identity. We were asked many questions by the panel. Many of the questions were tough. This was a well-organized event and was eventful and empowering, which seemed to be the theme of the event. It was fun, it was insightful, and I do want to give special thanks to educator Lucy Rivera for the invite, and also Natalie, I don't want to chop her name, Van Langenham, the coordinator of this great event. Finally, I do like to say that, today I saw nothing in Waukegan, but it looked like a ghost town. A lot of the Hispanic restaurants were closed and gas stations. So with that being said, I'd like to let everyone know that I do show my support for the Day Without Immigrants. This is a national initiative that's aimed at demonstrating the vital role of immigrants that play a vital role in our community and our economy. The movement highlights the immigrant workers and their contributions and their everyday impact on our lives here and businesses in the Waukegan area. As you know, Waukegan is a melting pot of many ethnicalities, so we need to remember that and honor that and respect that. And I will say that immigrants immigrants that are employed in the U.S. make 5% of the overall country's workforce. So with that also being said, I am in the process of organizing another ward meeting, looking at March, maybe early April. I will let my constituents know, keep them updated on that progress. And if you need to get a hold of me, I can be reached at 847-390-2689. I ask you guys to be safe, be mindful, and let's all be a good neighbor. Good night.
Alderman Felix.
Thank you. Thank you guys everyone for their input. Again, I went through the briefings, try to hear all the concerns, but also try to hear where the conversation is going. We're going to start working towards developing our downtown, which it needs it very much. There's other wards that are doing very well. There's a lot of traffic there, but our downtown has been where it's at for a very long time. So I'm very happy. I think that in a development deal or anything like that, someone needs a champion, someone to take it by the reins and push it forward. And it's not going to be easy. We have to do a lot of work, but yet, in terms of us knowing our work and how to do it, it takes, we need to learn how to use Robert Rules of Order. A lot of people don't even know what that is, and using Robert Rules of Order, you get to learn how different strategies, why things get placed in the back burner. Sometimes even board members don't even know what that is or how to utilize that. And, as elected, it's my job to inform myself, to make sure that I'm able to use my power to represent the people and move Waukegan forward. So, I want to thank everyone for their input, and especially those that voted towards this this development deal with the group. Something that is very progressive, and I think we need it in our downtown. It's going to be overall good. In terms of the community currently, yeah, today was a ghost town, and there's a lot of people that have many different opinions. You're allowed that. We're in the greatest country in the world, the United States. You're allowed your opinion, but also, we are better working together than separated, And that's what a lot of, throughout the country, we showed that a lot of the immigrants are, protesting, and rightfully so. They're scared, but we should not be scared. We should lawyer up. We, you know, that more than anything, you need to be lawyered up and know your rights. This is a good, you have to see the good in things. Everyone should know their rights, not just Hispanic immigrants. Everyone should know their rights so they don't get taken advantage of by anyone, by anyone's power. With that being said, I don't know if I forget anything. I am having a ward meeting for the 4th Ward on March 5th at 6 at La Canoa. I'm working with current neighborhood watch meeting, not a ward meeting, I apologize, a neighborhood watch meeting for the 4th Ward. I'm taking one neighborhood watch group and putting it there and inviting everyone to come forth. If you have any issues in terms of crime or concerns, we're going to be there to answer those for you. And also, in terms of, to touch the topic of the lawyer, there are things in the city that we want to fix, so the aldermen want to fix. And we have our, it's not to pin against our current council, our city council. They're great, they do great work. I do a lot of work with them. We do need someone to represent us for this part. If you guys saw today, there was a lot of, you know, push against this deal, and it's been going on like this for a while. So it takes a lot of work, and we need definitely, you know, our council lawyer, our alderman lawyer, to help us work with the city council lawyer to push things forward. There's a lot of things that we can do, a lot of good things, not putting them against each other, utilize them together to, for example, map out some of our departments, fix them, be more efficient, you know, kind of give direction, not tell people what to do, give direction for a better plan. And in terms of the money, you know, being utilized for that, there's a lot of people that want change and want things to be fixed. This is what it's going to take. We need to do things the right way with the right legal help, along with our current council attorneys. So that's it for me. Thank you.
Alderman Newsom. Alderman Turner.
Yeah, thank you very much, Madam Clerk. Just a couple of things that I want to talk about. Several of the aldermen have mentioned, and the Director of Public Works mentioned the water main breaks and such, and I just want to comment, we did have a main break at Sunset and Yeoman over the weekend. I think it was actually Friday, whenever. But I want to thank the foreman, Chris King from the Water Department, and his crew. That was Ruben, Israel, Jesse, and Josh, and those guys got out there, Johnny on the spot. They secured the water, and actually water was secured for the nursing home across the street, the Terrace Nursing Home. And they were excellent, not just in getting their job done, but in communicating with the nursing home, communicating with Harbor Lakes Apartment Complex, which was also affected, and communicating with me. And I really appreciated their effort and the great work that they did, and they did it fast. I mean, it was, so thank you. And I want to express my sadness and my condolences to the Leggett family on the loss of my dear friend, Joe Leggett, who I've known for quite some time. And he is just a remarkable man, his life story and his accomplishments, but just the beauty of his heart and his spirit, and the friendship that he and his wife, Anya, extended to me. It's just a beautiful man. I'm going to miss him. So God bless him. God rest his soul.
Alderman Donnerworth.
Thank you. Again, I want to express my condolences to the Liggett family. I've known Joe for years. I've met him out. He's been out a lot of times when we've been out, either at Glen Flora or the other places. He was a wealth of knowledge, a world traveler. The things that he did, the things that he talked about, and things that happened 20 years ago, he's talking about that it's happened yesterday, and what a loss we have losing him. and of course my family, we express our condolences. And again, of course, the staff of the City of Waukegan, all the way from the top to the bottom to the guys on the street, I talk to them every day. I thank them every day. I come in, if I need to speak to them, I can speak to them, and I have no problems, and I appreciate what they do. And whenever I see them working out there, I try to stop by and say hi, ask them if they might need anything or whatever, and, you know, luckily they say hi too, so it makes it great. But just, again, stay safe out there. If you see something and you have a problem, call the police. Thank you.
Alderman Florian.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. So last week, I participated in the Lake County pit count, the point-in-time count. This is like the 5th or 6th time I've done that. It's the last Wednesday in January every year, from 11 at night till about 2 a.m. the next morning. We go out and try to find the homeless that are literally on the streets, not in shelters or other protected places. We again found someone in a parking lot, an older gentleman who didn't have enough money to get a hotel room for the whole month. He would use his money at the beginning of the month to stay in a hotel till he ran out of money, and then he spends the next, rest of the month in his car. We tried to get him to go to shelter. We had options for him. He wouldn't go. That's been my experience every time we found somebody. I was with 3 Lake County board members in our team, and it's just a really important event for me to participate in. Homelessness is near and dear to my heart. In our county last year, we found 500 people the night we did so it's really important that we do these things. So hopefully, I don't have the numbers from this year yet, but I'll try to remember to report them in the coming weeks when we get the totals. And anyone can volunteer to participate in this. So if you're interested in doing it, let me know. Next year, I can get you hooked up with them. I asked the Finance Department to give me an accounting. There was a petition challenge on the current mayor's petitions in December. It cost the city $11,000 to run that show, and I don't believe Alderman Newsom and Alderman Bolton got paid for their appearances, so really, that's kind of, but anyway, it was all over her address. I mean, we've talked about it numerous times. There's lots of addresses in Waukegan. My address, my mailing address is Wadsworth, but I live in Waukegan. The mayor has a Libertyville address, but she lives in Waukegan. I just had someone message me the other day, does the mayor live in Libertyville? I'm like, no, she can't live in Libertyville and be the mayor of Waukegan. And this $11,000 was a huge waste of taxpayers' dollars, I'm just going to say. As far as petitions go, unless it's something egregious, like you really don't live in Waukegan, but you're pretending you do, or you don't really live in the ward you say you live in, but you file to represent that ward. Unless it's something like that, let the people decide who's going to be on the ballot, and let them choose. $11,000, just remember that. I want to announce I'm going to have a ward meeting on March 6th at 6:30 at McCall School. It'll be about a lot of topics, but one of the main ones is the new PADS shelter coming to the 8th Ward. There's some concerns and questions, and Mr. Swilley, the director of PADS, will be there to address those concerns. So March 6th at McCall School. I also want to add my condolences for Joe Leggett. I knew his kids going to school, and then when I became an alderman, him and I became friends and often dined together. And he, as everyone has said, he was just a great guy, very friendly, knew a lot about Waukegan. I wish he would have written a book before he passed away, because he really had a lot of good stories to tell about Waukegan. But my condolences to Anya and his children, Joseph and Lori, and the rest of their family. Thank you.
Okay, before I adjourn, I'll make one last comment, is it seems like some of the issues that some of the aldermen are worried about with an attorney, maybe it seems like you're trying to change the form of government from a mayoral form of government to a city manager form of government, which you have the option to do.
But you already snuck one in. So
What?
what difference does it make? You already snuck a city manager in on us, despite the will of the council and despite the will of the voters. So you already got your city
What
manager.
that would be how you would change that. With that, I need a first and a second to adjourn.
So moved.
Okay, Florian and Newsom.
Second.
Who is the second?
Second. Oh.
Who?